Hey, it's Ranger Russ back at the Meigs Point Nature Center with another episode of My Favorite Animal, because they're all my favorites. Before we get into today's animal, I want to thank everybody, obviously, for logging in this morning. I do have a couple of announcements to make. The Connecticut DEP has announced that fishing season will start early. So everybody can get out, you can start fishing now. It's a great opportunity to get outside. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little stir crazy being inside all the time. It's really lonely here at the Nature Center when nobody is around. But you can get out, start fishing. Chatfield Hollow, which is a local park right near Hammonasset, they're opening the gates so you can drive in and spread out. Fishing really lends itself to being away from each other. You can't really fish when you're near someone. So it's a really good idea. Keep that social distance, get out there, go fishing if you enjoy that. Otherwise, you can just, hike the trails. But remember, you got to keep social distance. One of the other things, I'm going to keep telling you, wash your hands, wash them, and then wash them again, and then wash them. Every time you do something, you should be washing your hands. Also, you really need to, if you have to cough in right like that, all the way into your arm. It doesn't really work if you're out like this, you're not protecting anybody, it's just all going everywhere. So get in there, get your cough in, and protect the people near you, okay? Today, we're talking about a very special animal. Before I get into that animal, though, I only have about 10 days worth of animals left in the Nature Center. Maybe a little bit more, I could do 11. But what we're going to start doing is going out into the park. The weather's getting good. I'm going to go out into the park and see what we can find that's outside. So it'll probably end up being a tree or a plant because the animals here at Hammonasset don't stick around long enough for me to talk about them. It would be cool if I could get an egret just to sit there for 15 minutes, but we'll see what happens. But we'll be out there. We'll be seeing what sorts of things we can find. As we go, make sure when you do your little comments and questions, I'm by myself, so I've got to read them as we go, but put down where you're from. Yesterday, we had someone from Norway watching. I've got some regulars from Ohio, so a big shout out to the people that are the regulars, and I get to see you making comments the whole time as we go. So this is very exciting. This is one of my favorite animals. And today it is a turtle. So let's get into this animal. So to start out, what does this have all over its back? Can you see those? Those are spots. This is a spotted turtle, okay? Now you look at this turtle and you say, that's not a very big turtle. This is actually an adult spotted turtle. Now years ago, they used to call these sun turtles because they would climb out and they would sun themselves. They would lay out on rocks and logs. Many of you have probably seen turtles sunning themselves. Mostly what we're seeing today, at least in Connecticut, are going to be painted turtles. Painted turtles are far more common than the spotted turtles. Years ago, it was the other way around. These turtles were very common. And unfortunately now, the spotted turtle is listed internationally, it's listed as a vulnerable species, which is worse than endangered. Okay, it's higher up the list than endangered. And here in Connecticut, this is listed as a species of special concern. So unfortunately, their populations are dropping really fast, really hard. The main reason for that is where they like to live. It's habitat loss. So these turtles prefer shallow water. Shallow ponds, vernal pools, and we talked about vernal pools, they dry up in the summertime. So for many years, every time somebody wanted to do a development or anything, they had this little pool that was only a pool in the winter. It all dried up in the summer. So they said, oh, no big deal. We'll just fill it in and then we can build on it. And unfortunately, that's where these turtles like to live. They only need a few acres, up to, I think, 8 acres around their habitat, around that little pool is all they need. But we've filled a lot of them in, and unfortunately, their populations have dropped quite a bit. So they're much, much harder to find nowadays than they were a long time ago. Now this particular one, I'm not sure. Let's see how much we can zoom in here. The camera always zooms in on me, so let's see if we can get it to focus on the little turtle. Can I get it to focus? I gotta get out. Okay. So if you look at this turtle, this is a girl. You can tell the girls because they have a white mouth and chin, and their eyes are usually more of an orange color, and the boys, the chin is brown, and the eyes are actually brown for the boys. So we have, this is a girl spotted turtle. Now, I've said through many of these programs that the animals we have at the Nature Center may have never been in the wild or were injured or taken when they're too small, so they can't go back to the wild. This turtle was bred in captivity, not legally, all right? Somebody had a pair of these, and this was the baby from that pair. And fortunately, they gave it to us because they did not have the space to raise these. So it's not a good idea, especially this turtle. It's illegal to have in Connecticut as a pet. We have it again because it can't go into the wild. It's never been in the wild. It sees its food when it gets put into a bucket, and then the food comes down, and then it eats. It knows no other way to get food than I get put in a bucket, and then I get food. So, and the food is put right in front of its mouth. So that's how this turtle, how we ended up getting this turtle. All right, another really cool thing about these turtles, because when their pool dries up completely in the summertime, this turtle will go and bury itself down in the mud under where it was, okay? So in the winter, turtles hibernate. They bury themselves in the mud, slow their heart rate, slow their breathing, and they wait for it to warm up. They spend all winter like that. In the springtime, they come out, they hang around in their vernal pools. They like to eat things that are in the vernal pools. So amphibians, eggs, and tadpoles, once they lay their eggs in there, these turtles will eat those. In the summertime, when it gets really hot and dry, the pool will dry up completely, and the turtle will go back and bury itself again. Sometimes they'll go to a nearby, if they have a couple of vernal pools nearby, and they need more food, they'll go to the next, if it's a bigger vernal pool that still has water, they'll go there. But when they all dry up, they bury themselves again. So they're actually hibernating again in the summertime, and then they wait for the end of summer rains, the fall rains. They come out, they feed again, and then when it gets cold again, they go back into hibernation. So this turtle can be hibernated for most of the year. It's really cool if you think about a turtle hibernating in the summertime. Okay, now we have said that turtle shells grow with them, okay? And I also mentioned that turtles are reptiles, and one of the big things about reptiles is that they lay eggs. This turtle can lay up to 8 eggs. So 3 to 8 eggs is the average for these turtles, what they lay each year. And they're gonna lay May to June. You're gonna see these turtles out laying their eggs. But one thing I want you to remember, reptiles have scales. So the back of this turtle's shell is covered with scales. Under the scales is bone. All right? The bone is basically like our ribs. So everybody find your ribs. You've got ribs all up and down here. Okay? Our ribs come around and they attach in the front. They come off of your spine and attach in the front. Turtles are built a little bit differently. Their ribs go out to the sides. Okay? They don't wrap around and connect, and their ribs have all grown together to form their shell. So if you look here, we have a turtle's skeleton. These are the bony plates. These segments going across here are ribs that have grown together. All right? So we can see the turtle's shell is just made up of basically modified ribs that are all flattened, grown together. That creates a really nice hard shell. Then they have a little row of bones around the outside as well that are kind of like, right in the middle we have our sternum where our ribs connect. Their sternum is a whole bunch of little bones around the outside that helps hold those ribs together. Okay, now, can a turtle bend and touch its toes? So here's an activity for everybody out there. Stand up. It's time to get some exercise. I know you're in the house all the time, so it's great to get some exercise. So now you're a turtle. All right, everybody standing there, you're a turtle. Can you bend and touch your toes? Everybody bend and touch your toes. You can do it, right? It's easy. Just bend and touch your toes. Can a turtle bend and touch its toes? No. Their spine, everybody flex your spine. Do rotation here. It's flexing your spine, okay? Their spine is attached. You see that line right there? That's the turtle's spine. It's part of the shell, and the shell doesn't move. So a turtle can't rotate its body like that. So we're going to do turtle exercises right now. So everybody, put your arms out like this, your legs off to the side, because turtles' arms and legs come off to the side a little bit, okay? Now, we already said you can't bend and touch your toes. You can't really jump, okay? You can jump, but a turtle can't because its legs are too short. So if you're going to do turtle exercises, this is what you do. Everybody, we're going to exercise like a turtle. Bend your knees and your elbows at the same time, okay? That's all you have to do. If you're a turtle, that's it for exercise. You bend, you're basically doing a little push-up, but we're doing it standing up, okay? So, let's do some questions. I'm seeing some things go by here. Lots of people think it's cool. I think it's cool too. This is a really cool animal. Turtles' shells were used by calendars by Native Americans. Yes. I never did it with this turtle. I know I can do it with the painted turtle and with the box turtle. But yes, the turtle's shell was used as a calendar by the Native Americans. Okay? It's really cool. They also kept them as pets, sort of. It was a traditional animal for them to have. All right, do we have any questions? Anybody asking any questions? Or did I miss something here? Is that why turtles are so slow? Because they have short legs? Yes. They cannot really get the reach of a longer-legged animal, so that's going to make them much slower. What other questions do we have? Do you have a soft-shell turtle at the Nature Center? Great question. And soft-shell turtles are not found this far north. They are typically southern turtles. So if you're down south right now, give us a thumbs up. You can find soft-shell turtles down south, but not up here in Connecticut. Wondering why they hibernate so much. Well, they have to hibernate so much because the habitat that they have adapted to live in, adjusted to live in, is really vulnerable. It's not around all the time. Okay? So, someone else is asking, are turtles nocturnal? For the most part, turtles are not nocturnal. They like the sunlight. They're going to be out and sunning themselves and getting food in the daytime. So they're diurnal. So great words. Let's put those words on our vocab list. We have nocturnal, which means active at night, and diurnal, which is active during the day. And then there's one in between, but we're not going to talk about that because that's getting too much for this episode. How do they breathe when they are submerged in the mud? Good question. So what a turtle does, they burrow down into the mud, they make a little tunnel, and then they come back up and create a little air pocket. And just that little bit of air is all they need to survive for the winter. Remember, they're slowing their heart rate down, they're slowing their breathing down. If you dug it up, you would think you just found a dead turtle because they're breathing so slowly. Somebody says they found a stink pot. I think that's really cool. Another one of my favorites are stink pots. They're really awesome animals. Are all turtles brown or green? I'm going to say all turtles are lots of different colors. There are not a lot of green turtles here in Connecticut, but there are lots of black, browns, even a lot of orange on lots of the Connecticut turtles. So, what else do we have here? We've got, what kind of, this is a spotted turtle. Okay. Do we have any other questions out there? Everyone's just saying hi to the little turtle. You guys can wave to the little turtle. Can the turtle do a race? The spotted turtles don't make very good racers. We'll put them in if you guys saw the painted turtle episode where we put it in the circle, we put it in there and then we stand back and wait. And it takes a long time because they'll just look around. They're not really looking around very much. It's very good. Oh, someone was bringing up salmonella. Remember we talked about that with the other turtles, and yes, these turtles can carry it. Okay, here at the Nature Center, everyone that handles turtles, for turtle feeding, we usually wear gloves because you're also handling their food, but we also wash our hands really well. In addition to washing your hands regularly now, we wash our hands every time we handle a turtle because they can obviously carry salmonella and other things. Do they have the same number of spots? Great question. And I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that the answer is no. Different spotted turtles have different numbers of spots. Okay? How often do they mate? It's only going to be once a year for this turtle. And again, they're mating in April. We're coming up into the mating time, and then they're going to be laying their eggs May to late June. So they will continue to mate into that. And they stay in the eggs for a long time. I think it's like 72 days. So it's quite a bit longer than most of the other reptiles or the reptiles that we have here at the Nature Center, the turtles. One thing that I did not mention about turtles, when they lay their eggs, the sex of the turtle, whether it's a boy or a girl, is dependent on temperature. So the boys, if it's colder than, what's my temperature? So it's 77 to 80 degrees, you're going to have a boy. If it's over 86 degrees, you're going to have a girl. And in everything around that is sort of 50-50. Okay? So that's one of the concerns as temperatures are rising. That means turtles' eggs temperature is going to rise, which means we may end up starting to see only girls coming out of these nests, which could really cause a problem if we don't have enough boys. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to remind everybody that fishing season started early, so let's see a thumbs up if you like going fishing. Chatfield Hollow, the gates are open 8 a.m. to sunset, or right around sunset. I think they have to close a little bit earlier, but starting at 8 a.m. And I'm going to ask you, like us, follow us, go to our website. Our virtual learning center is up and running. People are sending in photos and, well, mostly drawings and pictures that people have drawn. So I love to see those. I want to know where you're from. If you have a favorite animal, let me know what your favorites are. And maybe we have one in the Nature Center. I can talk about it. Or I can find a friend that has one, and we can talk about that as well. So we're going to keep doing these shows as long as we can. Again, I have about 11 days worth of animals left here. I'm going to start reaching out and getting more though. And we'll be doing some shows from outside, so you'll get to see maybe my favorite tree or my favorite shrub. I don't know, when the flowers start blooming, we'll be looking for flowers as well. So be sure, check our website. Let's give a shout out to the Friends of Hammonasset because they're making sure that all the animals stay fed while the building is closed. So thank you all very much. We will see you all this afternoon at 2 o'clock over in our water room.